Hey,
Hello.
how are you?
Good. How are you today?
Good. Did you sell your truck?
Yes.
Good. How much do you get like commission and stuff as a salesman?
30% whatever the dealership makes. So
That's
depends on what the dealership makes off the truck.
a big gig.
So, all right. So you're run. What do you do for work other than what you're about to run for?
Well, what I'm running for is like completely like nonprofit. Like it's not nonprofit, but it's a political position, so it's unpaid. So I just waitress at Applebee's.
You're doing politics for free.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah. Hey, that's what I like.
All right. So okay. So why are so now? Okay. So you must have a really good reason as to why you want to get into politics.
Um, Not really. You would think that I have this like super like direct reason because I get asked that question a lot, obviously. Um, but no, I just when it comes down to it, my life hasn't been the easiest, and I saw personally like firsthand how politics affects other people. And so I just know that I can play a part in making other people's lives easier, whether it's on the local level or the national level. So if I can do even the smallest amount of like political work to help somebody, that's what I'm gonna do.
How will politics help someone who isn't privileged? Because where I come from in Baltimore City,
Mm-hmm.
they tend to hate politics because they don't feel helped by them.
Exactly. Well, that is the stipulation that I'm trying to get at is so many people that come from privileged backgrounds are the ones that are running for these platforms. And for myself, I aged out of the foster care system. My grandma raised me until I was 12. We lived off of supplemental income because my parents passed away when I was younger. So um, I had like a direct line to the government and government assistance. And I saw how those programs can really make or break a family. But it's all these top 1% individuals making all these decisions. And it absolutely aggravates me because there's no representation for the working or lower class. And I am most certainly not upper class. So that's kind of why I'm trying to get my voice in there. And how it's going to affect like people that aren't privileged is it's because politics affect people that aren't privileged the most. So when I like if I choose to go this route and continue this route, when I get into like a more like even on local level or national level or whatever I choose to do, politics directly and indirectly affect upper class, middle class, lower class, but most directly lower class. And so I will offer them representation. And I'm not going to be one of those people that just runs for political or like just social gain. Like, at least that's not my intention. I feel like a lot of people start out with good intentions and then they get corrupted by the system because it's so just becomes such a like game.
Yeah, because the way politics works, they tell you what you want to hear, and
Mm-hmm.
like they don't do it. So how
Yeah.
will you convince people that you're not just saying this just to say it or just to get a vote?
Well, that's the thing is like you really got to show what you're passionate about. And I've been doing this for like not specifically politics, but just public service since I started college. I worked as a community outreach specialist. I worked at a local nonprofit at my first college. It was a thrift store that benefited a local church that in turn was an organized nonprofit. I also did like impact work on campus to help prevent sexual assault on campus. I did grant research and writing to prevent sexual assault on campus because I went to a Catholic school that we didn't have programming for that. I initiated an outreach program with my college and my board of trustees to create a program for lower and poverty stricken families to offer them assistance with college applications to get them into higher education because that is a demographic that oftentimes doesn't get to go to college because they don't have the resources that they need. And I've just been working and striving to be a good representation of what I want to see in the world. And so you see people out there and they say things and then do the exact opposite. But I try to embody everything that I want to be and what I want to see. Like, I'm not going to tell you something and not do it. Like, my word is often my bonded. like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so if you're chasing to give these people those opportunities to maybe get into college, say someone from the city, how does one even do that other than, it takes, so the reason people from richer neighborhoods know this because their parents just have it's the knowledge and they have more information.
Yeah.
How do you plan on passing down that information to
Mhm.
someone in a poor neighborhood?
Well, yeah, that's actually a really good question. And that's actually what my whole like program proposition was about. It was about sending representatives from, I went to Mount Aloysius College before I transferred home to Clarion. So that's where I'm discussing in the Altoona area, which is a lot of foster children and just poverty stricken families. So my plan was to send college representatives from our institution out into these specific communities where there's oftentimes colleges don't send representation to because they're not their target demographic. And so I was proposing that we send these representatives to these areas and offer the information that these kids need and want and are lacking so that they can have the same opportunities as a kid that's going to a private Catholic school down the road. Like, there should be absolutely no limitations on higher education. There should not be like, if there should not be a glass ceiling that a student has to break through to get an education. Education should be open and available to anyone and everyone outside of your income bracket. And so that was my proposition, is to go firsthand right into these schools and tell these kids, this money is here for you to go to school. You can get it by doing these steps, and we are going to help you along the way. And so that was my plan.
How do you get them? So you have to be smart about who you send, though, because these kids, we don't just want to listen to anyone, right?
Yeah.
If you're not from the city, they probably don't want to listen to you.
Exactly. And so personally, I don't have very much experience with inner city schools because I grew up in Clarion. I obviously don't have the same narrative, the same perspectives as these children do. So hopefully the plan was, it wasn't necessarily inner city schools for my proposal. It was just like Altoona, but they could have had, it was a very diverse and populated area. So they might have had the inner city mentality that students often can create. But my goal was to work directly with the guidance counselor and get like the teachers and the members of their community that they know and they trust and they want to make proud to talk to them and show them their opportunities. Because oftentimes when these like professionals in the education system are sent into like these lower income schools that don't have the same funding as like a private school, they get overwhelmed with their workload and they can't prioritize enough time and energy into like helping these kids get to college because they're like focusing on getting them clothed and getting them fed. And so it's just like that extra step, but like you just need to bridge that gap, if that makes sense. Like, I was just trying to stick out my hand to help kids that may have had or may not have had a similar situation to what I did. Because as for someone who came from like a lower income household, ever since about 18, I managed the whole system on my own, like college, everything, getting loans, things like that. I had no co-signers. I was making payment plans. I didn't have a car. So trying to manage all of that, figure that all out on my own was absolutely ridiculous. If I would have just had someone there, and which luckily I did most of the time, I had like a good little support system. But if there was a child that absolutely did not, they would have been a lot more lost than I was. And I had no idea what I was doing. So to just give my hand to at least one student and get them where they are wanting to go, even beyond college, even if it's to a technical school or to the military, I was just trying to act as less of like a college recruiter or a military recruiter, and as a student who was trying to help another student figure out what the heck they wanted to do. So that was a lot, but I'm very passionate about that.
That's why knowledge is important, because I feel like we need to teach these kids how to do it on their own.
Yes.
I don't know how to do it. That's why I'm not running.
Yes. Well, it's not even that. That's not even what town borough really pertains to. And I wish it was, because that's something I'm particularly interested in. Town borough is more like tax plans and like how we're going to spend our budget and like lame political stuff like that. But if I ever run for something bigger, or just work for any type of nonprofit, like it would just be an absolute dream to help anybody receive just their first step, get a footing into higher education, because I have absolutely thrived in college. I just love learning. I love the personal connections that you make. And it shouldn't just be for the upper classes to be able to get education. Education is free and it should be universal and it should be for anyone and everyone.
Yeah, I think sports are so important because that's where these lower poverty kids thrive. They get their scholarships that way.
For sure.
What do you think?
But
Do you watch sports? Do you think they're important?
yeah, I played sports all throughout high school, and I played volleyball for the first 2 years of college.
Or were they Division two where you were at, or what?
No, we were Division three.
What
I'm
team?
not good enough to play D2. That's why I didn't come to
Here,
Clarion first.
they're actually really. They're not just any D2 team. They're pretty good.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I wasn't even trying. My name would have been bootstrapped to that bench. I would have been the water girl.
But if a little kid from the city told me he wanted to go to college, I'd be like, "Are you playing sports?"
Yep.
No. I'd be like, "Why not?" Talk
Yeah.
to my parents. That's the way I go because I personally, I don't know, I don't like sports. But
No, I
okay,
totally agree.
but with town borough, what would you be in charge of spending?
Like, you just get like a budget for like the borough. It can be like federal grants. Like they just got a big COVID-19 relief. It's part of the big relief package that was given. And you also get like, I don't know if they do fundraisers or how it works particularly, because I've never worked with like a budget of like a political stature. So I probably wouldn't even know the in-depth details until I get possibly in there. I'm planning on attending a few meetings to kind of understand the inner workings. But from the kind of like authority seats that I've taken, like I was on student council at my last institution, and I was the vice president. So I was in charge of budgeting and planning and things like that. So that's kind of my experience in that aspect. But you get funds from all different sources. And then you just work on prioritizing them as like a committee, and you create like divisions and what, like on town council you probably have like housing, and then you have sewage, and then you have all sorts of other things, and then you divide all that up and realize what needs worked on, what needs to be delegated, things like that. It's all sorts of boring.
So who are you running against?
So technically, I'm running against, like, if you want to believe it, like see it that way, I'm running against Krista Greenlee. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry. Rachel Roberts, and there's also another man running on the Democratic ticket. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. And I believe there are 2 Republicans running, and there are 4 open seats. Personally, I don't view them as like competition, so I don't really try to like focus on that kind of aspect. I absolutely love the people that I have met that are running, especially I haven't met the 2 Republicans on the ticket, but all the Democrat candidates that I've met are absolutely wonderful. They would be a great asset to this community. They deserve everything in the world. But I just kind of stick to like what's going on with me and what I can do to like get a step closer to winning the primary, and how I can like outreach into my community and show them like what I can like offer them.
If my observation of this town is correct, it's mainly Republican, right?
Yeah, we in the borough specifically, we're kind of a lot of people refer to it as purple, because actually within the borough there are quite a few Democratic voters. So that's why it's kind of like such an important thing to have parties, like both parties on the ballot, because like it flip-flops back and forth from what I have read the past few years, which is good, because having a completely down the ticket like kind of deal is never good for anybody, because you want perspectives from all different sides, from all different parties, from all different corners of the borough. Like you just want diversity, mentally, physically.
Yeah, so everyone's always listening to both sides, but it seems like Democrats all only want to agree with each other and disagree with Republicans, and then the same the other way.
Oh, for sure.
Why is it that's the complete opposite of diversity? So why is it like that?
Yeah. Well, I think polarization has become more and more apparent, especially within the last 4 years. And it's a problem for both sides. And I've definitely fell victim to it. I have definitely taken a part in it. And I've been really working on changing my mentality that I specifically only have to align with ideals from my own party. Personally, I believe the two-party system is problematic most of the time. I wish we could all just like speak our minds and all be heard, whether you're from like the top income bracket or the lowest, whether you're red or blue. Like I just, and obviously that's like a utopian ideal. But I don't understand why we've become so polarized. I wish we weren't, because I don't align all my views with a certain party. It becomes easy that way with the news outlets and the way media is biased and things like that.
So
But yes, but it's a personal responsibility. You have to actively choose to look at multiple news sources and be like an effective citizen. You need to think critically. You can't just be spoon-fed the information that is given to you. You need to criticize the politicians that are set before you, because we don't need to idolize them. Politicians aren't celebrities. We're not supposed to agree with everything that comes out of their mouth. We're not supposed to just worship at their feet. I'm going to look at them and be like, I agree with this policy. I don't agree with this policy. I don't look at it, oh, just because they're a Democrat, I agree or disagree. I view it as, is this good for me? Is this good for other people? Is this good for the country? And I wish more people would think like that, because they just look at a ticket and vote down party line. They just think, oh, only Republicans are going to provide us what we need. Oh, only Democrats are going to provide us what we need. And I have fallen victim to that. But I'm actively working on opening my mindset and hearing from other perspectives. But I also think it comes down to values and ethics, and that's what you align with your party. But I think that's also become skewed. So it's difficult, but I'm hoping we're headed to a brighter, more unified future. Hopefully.
seems like we're heading towards the opposite because no one really wants anyone to have a say. Like the most recent headlines, did you see about Congress contacting Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
That I think is stupid because you don't have to listen to him. Now, I don't say that I agree with him or disagree with him, but like
Yeah.
he said it himself. He was like, "I'm not a news source. I'm just here drunk talking."
Yeah.
Then people just want to put it in their headlines, and I don't. Nobody wants anyone. Isn't he American? Shouldn't he have a voice? So
Mm-hmm.
then, if you disagree with someone saying their opinion, you don't really believe in freedom of speech. I believe, unless
Yeah.
they're inciting violence, that's different. But that's not.
Yeah. Of course. I haven't read much up on that whole situation, but from what I've heard, it was because he was speaking on younger people getting vaccinated, correct?
He said if a 21-year-old who is healthy walked up to him and asked him if he should take the vaccine or not, he would tell him that he doesn't have to.
Yeah.
But he never told anyone to not take it. He just said in his opinion. But if you walk up to a jiu-jitsu guy who does a podcast and ask him about the vaccine, that's your fault, not his.
Yeah.
Ask the fucking doctor.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't really know either. Personally, I don't really have an opinion on that situation, because like I'm not one to tell other people to get vaccinated or not. Like, it's not my opinion what you do with your body. Obviously, personally, I got the vaccine and I was really excited about it. I was like, heck yeah, like I want to go back to concerts. I don't want to wear a mask anymore. If I can do this thing to make tomorrow like COVID free, I would get a million vaccines
How
to
do you
save.
how do you feel about okay, so did you hear about the whole when the government was hacking to our phones? It was like in 2012 they lost the court case. They were doing something illegal, right?
Mm-hmm.
They started that after 9/11. They kind of
Yeah.
scared the citizens into letting them do this, and then eventually they used it against the Americans, right?
Yeah. Are you talking about like the Joseph Snowden thing where they
Well, yeah,
had the
he
court
he
case?
kind of
Yeah.
brought him out on that, but they lost the court case. I'm not saying I think this is just something I heard, but
Yeah.
you think that could be the case with the vaccines? 10 years down the road we find out they're doing something illegal.
Mm.
Uh-oh.
I
And I'm not saying I think this. I know people are gonna say
No, I understand. There's a lot of conspiracy theories around vaccines. But I like to personally, I did my own research. I just like we were talking about, I looked at different news sources. I read different documentations. I received advice from my own personal physician. And I thought it was safe for me to get the vaccine. I am a healthy 21-year-old. And if I walked up to Joe Rogan and he told me not to get the vaccine, I'd be like, sorry, Joe Rogan, I'm going to get the vaccine anyways. Like, that sucks.
You can make your own decisions. Most people can't.
Yes, exactly. And like, I think it's all up to personal perspective and what you believe. Obviously, I want everybody to get the vaccine because I want to be able to go out and not have COVID anymore. Like, but that's an ideal situation. Everybody has their own symptoms. They'll have their own reactions. They have their own autoimmune disorders. They have their own, just own opinions. So it's their choice. And I understand that. But personally, for me, I went and got the vaccine. I'd go get it 10 times over. I'd encourage, like, if my friend walked up to me and asked if they should get the vaccine, I'd say I had a good experience with it. I believe in the whole thing that the vaccine kind of stands for, what they're trying to do here. And so, yeah, but if you don't want to get the vaccine, that is completely up to you. I just would recommend that you do your research and you look at different news sources and you ask your physician and you go based on your personal health as well as thinking about community health, because you also need to think about the people that you're affecting when you go out in public if you're going to be an active member of the community. Because when we go out and we're having these issues, you also need to think about the people that you're around. If that helps, if that answered your question. But if there's some big conspiracy theory behind it, I'm not a conspiracy theorist at all. I've tried to believe. I took a whole conspiracy theory course. The only conspiracy theory I could even 1% believe in is that, like, the government killed JFK. That's the only one that's even possibly clicked in my mind even slightly, because it's just so mysterious. Like the grassy knoll, that whole thing, just spooky.
Well, aliens, you don't believe in aliens?
Oh, okay. But is that really a conspiracy theory at this point?
Well, theories, anything that hasn't been 100% proven, right? I mean, religions.
Yeah, but the government has come out with documentation that aliens exist.
No, not aliens specifically. They've come
like UFOs.
UFO.
Aliens totally exist. It's selfish for us to think that we have this whole universe just to ourselves.
Super religious people don't take it. They actually get offended when I post about aliens.
I don't find myself posting about aliens.
And I understand. I have a lot of friends who are super religious, and apparently in the Bible it doesn't say that there's life.
Well, that's all up to them too.
Yeah.
Everything is. We all view the world in a veil of our own experiences. And if someone tells me that aliens don't exist, I'll be like, you're probably right. I have no proof that aliens do exist, but personally, I think they're out there.
I kind of hope they're out there, but I hope when we find them, maybe they're like, well, I don't hope this. I think, what if they're idiots?
They have to be smarter than us.
That's what I'm saying. They have to be, but what if they're idiots?
Yeah, that would suck. I want them to, I don't know, come down and talk soon. I feel like life has been so boring lately. I mean, we just have COVID, which is obviously not boring, not just like that, but it would be so cool if an alien came down.
Would they make the aliens take the vaccine? Technically, they could.
Probably.
They don't have rights, so I mean, I guess they could force them to take the vaccine. That
would be horrible if we have a very graphic history of enslaving other beings. So if aliens came down, we probably already have them captured. Area 51.
I don't know what's the thing about that.
You don't know anything about Area 51?
Not really. I mean, they don't say anything about Area 51. I know what it is, but
yeah,
everything's in there. It's just one big secret.
Yeah. Well, that's explanation enough to me. There has to be aliens in there. For sure. Do I think they're green? Maybe not. But I think they definitely have long fingers.
Like in a Scary Movie when they
yeah.
I think that's exactly how it's gonna go.
For sure. Well, my high school history teacher actually gave this really convincing, if there's anybody that can convince me of the most craziest things, it's this man. He had this whole theory that aliens, we think what we think are aliens are actually humans in the future, and we turn gray because like we destroyed the atmosphere, the sun doesn't shine, and that like we have like aliens have such big eyes because like our screens had gotten so bigger and our eyes like evolved to like look that way, and we have like long, it was this whole ordeal, and I was just sitting there like, yeah, that makes so much sense. He's such a convincing man. He could take over the world.
It's a little bit too crazy to me because he hasn't, I don't know. Well, there's like this fighter pilot who saw the UFO. I believe that guy.
Yeah.
He has a Joe Rogan. I don't know. Do you like Joe Rogan?
I've never listened to his podcast, no.
I know a lot of Democrats hate him. I'm not Republican or that. I'm just saying like.
No, I just haven't.
Seems though people who lean super, I don't know. I got this whole.
Well, I've heard he's pretty crude.
I got this whole speech, this hate speech because I listened to him. I don't know. It was from this kid.
No, I would never. I don't think I would really have that strong of opinion about a podcast. I don't think so.
Well, it's like, I don't know. You don't seem like you're a part of the cancel culture thing, but it's that.
I hate cancel culture. Absolutely hate it. It's ridiculous.
You're one of the good ones because people. I don't know what people think they're proving. Like, you're canceled. Like, what does that mean? I can't live.
Yeah, it makes absolutely no sense. And it is just the most like ironic and like hypocritical thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
To be a perfect person if you're canceling someone.
Exactly. And no one's a perfect person. And it's just like you sit back and you're like, these people probably are doing just as bad, if not worse, things in their free time as this person. Like, obviously, if you do something absolutely horrendous, you should obviously be held accountable for your actions. Yeah. But like the whole celebrity cancel culture thing, like as soon as a celebrity does something, like it's just, it makes me feel so bad for them. I could never be. That's one thing that makes me very cautious of pursuing what I plan on pursuing, is I'm way too sensitive to be harassed by millions of people online. Like, I could never.
I would love it. I don't care anymore. I wouldn't love it. I'm just saying I wouldn't give a fuck.
I am so sensitive. I wish I wasn't. I care too much about what other people think.
I used to be very sensitive. When I'm drunk, I can care a little bit more. But like me sober, I wish I had beers, but no. But me sober, I'm just whatever. I think that's why I started this podcast. Well, I started because I wanted to get better at talking. But
yeah,
I'm an introvert.
I talk all the time. That's one thing. That's why people, when I tell them I'm planning on going to law school and like pursuing politics, they're like, yeah, that makes sense, because I have a loud mouth and very strong opinions.
People also don't agree with people who say, like I say I don't do politics.
Mm-hmm.
People hate that.
Why? I do get mad when people say that, but it's just because I've seen how politics affects people, and I know that
I don't think it's ever affected me. Right? Well, I'm not privileged. I'm definitely not, but it's just, I think it only affects you if you let it. Because I mean, how much power do they actually have?
Yeah, that makes sense in a way.
The president has no power. First, has power, but not as much as people think they do. And then, I don't know. I don't know. I find it that it affects people, like, and if you don't actively look for it, then like I feel like maybe it's not as noticeable, but I feel like it definitely affects people more than is like on the surface level. And that's kind of why I like want to bring it to more younger people's attention, because I feel like when people finally realize that politics like do matter and like it affects them, I feel like they're always like in their 30s, their 40s. Like when I go to like committee events or like political events, I'm usually one of the youngest people there, and I'm like, why don't younger people care? And I guess it's just because they don't see. But like also you can have that opinion, and I understand where you're coming from for sure, because like when you just think about it, look, during the Trump presidency, people cared too much about politics and they're willing to get on their knees for someone. Mm-hmm. Guess where else they're doing that? In Iraq and stuff. They're on their knees for a leader. Guess what? Women can't get fucking educations over there, and I don't think we should continue to live free.
Yeah.
Living free means just living your own life and not thinking that someone else has control of your own life.
Yeah, that definitely makes sense. I don't know. I feel like politics, I've definitely felt the weight of politics on my life because of my personal experience. And so I feel like especially indirectly. Once you get older, you realize, you think back, like this happened because of like, I don't know, social structures we have in place that are created by our government, whether you like realize them or not. And like one thing that has really opened my eyes, especially to systemic racism, which isn't necessarily politics, but it relates directly to our policies and things like that. I'm taking a course with Dr. Walsh, Jane Walsh, and it's based on race and ethnicity. And it has completely opened my eyes to like microaggressions and things I never would have even like imagined. And like I've always been preaching about politics ever since I think I was probably 16, 17. And I'm now 21. And I like, she's bringing to light things that I see every day that I never would have known are interwoven with our government and the way our society is created. And so I think it's just a matter of like kind of the way that you look at things and like the way that you want to approach the world too, for sure.
No, I agree with that. Yeah, and especially with police, what happened recently.
Yeah.
And I think, well, I don't agree with the whole, I think we should train these officers more. So the whole defund the police thing didn't make sense for me. I think we should fund them more and train them more. Because obviously, I mean, these police who are hurting these people, they're just pussies who don't know how to hold them down. At the end of the day, if you have to hurt them that bad, you're just a pussy with a weapon, you know what I mean? Or kneel on someone's neck because you need that power because you probably got bullied in high school or something. And that's the truth. You see a tough guy, it's a tough police officer out there. If a white police officer slammed a black kid on the ground, locked him up, put him in his car, that wouldn't be a problem. Because that's just if he's resisting, right? That wouldn't be a problem. He didn't kill him. He did his job. I mean, if he was supposed to do that, that's it. There's a video viral of a white police officer was a football player, tackled this kid to the ground, perfect form, locked him up, no one was hurt. Training sucks. I don't know what your opinion is on that.
I agree. I think they're funding. I don't believe in defunding the police. I believe that I definitely have believed that, but I've kind of grown my perspective based on information and like research that I have read. But I think their funding should be like not cut, but I think a large majority of their funding that often goes to like basically weaponry and like weapon training and things like that should be delegated and redirected to like social programs that like create community outreach instead of like when someone's having a mental crisis, you send a police officer. No, send a mental health professional. Like police officers can't be everything in one. And I feel like that's why they've created such a divide between the citizens in this organization because they're expected to be able to handle all these types of situations. And obviously, they should not be handling certain situations in the way that they have been handled. But I don't think we should demonize the whole organization because like they are a foundational aspect of our society for sure. But we definitely need to take a look at what's happening and figure out a way to fix what's broken because something is obviously broken.
Well, they clearly don't get that much weapons training.
Yeah.
26 years mistakes a yellow fucking taser.
Yeah.
That's the problem. Same thing.
Horrible. Absolutely horrible.
I mean, I don't even think they get that much weapons training. They have to qualify.
That was just like the first thing I could think of off the
top. I don't know the facts. I'm just talking out my ass. So I don't know.
Yeah. I don't personally know that much about police training either, which is why I typically don't like to talk about because like I like to know what I'm talking about beforehand, but I know about funding and I know I've read the research because there's countless like educational research programs based on how our society would function if a large majority of police funding went somewhere else and like created these little programs to help contain like smaller situations so that police could really focus on justice and crime handling, you know what I mean? But it's definitely interesting. You should really look into it because it's something that I think everybody should have to like look up on before they have an opinion about defunding the police brutality, things like that. And I definitely think people should have to take a course in systemic racism before they go talking out their ass about police brutality.
Yeah, and there just needs to be harder training. Not I'm going to give an example, not at this level, but you know how Navy SEALs train their guys and they kick
Yeah.
out mentally weak. I think that needs to be with police officers.
Yeah. I definitely think there needs to be more training, but like I said, I don't personally know that much. I just know that it's what, a 6 week, 8 week course?
I just know it's easy. It's an easy course.
Let me look it up.
Doesn't matter how long it is. I know it's easy as fuck.
It's 13 to 19 weeks, so I was way off. But I obviously don't know what they go through, etc. So I can't really speak on that. And I obviously don't know what the military goes through. Someone who's way more experienced and has done more research on that would have to speak on that. But I definitely know about
the military. It depends on what your job is. If you're just at like a desk or something, all you have to do is run like 2 miles for like 16 minutes. But obviously, Navy SEAL has to run 5 miles every day at training at least or something like that. I don't know. I don't want to be a police officer, so
I know. I don't want to be a police officer either.
I'm not this tough guy. I know I call him a pussy. I don't think I'm tough or anything. I just know that guy's a pussy.
For sure. I don't know. There are some jobs I wouldn't do, and being a police officer is certainly one of them.
I'm a car salesman.
I'm a waitress, so.
Yeah, you don't put enough liquor in my margaritas.
Hey, I don't make the margaritas. You got to talk to Jesse about that one.
Canceling Applebee's.
Please no. I need that job. I'm poor.
How old are you?
I'm 21.
21. Okay. Have
Yeah.
you been? No, don't go to the bar. It's COVID. So, are you a senior in Clarion?
No, I'm just a junior.
What is your major exactly?
Exactly. It is integrative studies with a concentration in communications and a certificate in pre-law.
Oh, God. Too much school for me.
Well, it's only 4, and then like for my bachelor's, and then I'm gonna go to law school, and so that'll be 3 more in addition to my bachelor's.
3 more? Where do you want to go? Law school? Harvard?
I like my dream school. I've always wanted to live in New York City, so my dream school would be to go to Columbia Law or like NYU Law, but I am poor. So the number one place that I'm looking at right now is mainly like Duquesne, just places around Pennsylvania. I haven't been looking that hard right now because I decided to take a gap year between my undergrad. So I'll have the full year next year and then a gap year and then law school the year after. So I've kind of just been giving myself a break because I felt like I definitely needed it before I did all that nonsense.
The other day, I randomly met a girl from Rhode Island. She was driving to Montana to be a wildlife firefighter.
That's cool.
She was just sitting in the brewery, and I heard her talking on the phone. She was sitting alone, and I asked her about it. We had a whole conversation. Now I'm going to have her on my podcast.
No.
Yeah.
What a networking guy.
Kind of, yeah. They were. Have you heard about wildlife firefighters?
Mm-hmm.
They dig like 3-mile like lines, and they get paid like $15 an hour.
Good for her. That's brave. Very brave.
Have you heard of him?
I'm sorry?
David Goggins. Have you heard of him?
No.
All right. I'll send you his information.
Okay. Is he one of those people that was like, I knew there was a documentary made about the firefighters that fought off the fires.
That is a good movie. But no, this guy's a Navy SEAL.
Oh. Yeah, I'm not that cool. I'm just going to be a lame person behind a desk.
Yeah, no.
Not anything.
I guess it's politics a desk. Yeah, it is a desk job.
Well, the thing about politics that I'm really looking forward to is like the community work, because I really like to talk to people and like get to know them. That's one thing. Like my plan was before I decided I wanted to go to law school, I wanted to go to the Peace Corps, and I wanted to just travel and meet people and like make personal connections. But politicians really get to do that, especially like when they're campaigning. Even on the local level, I've met so many people since I've started like my campaign, if that's what you want to call it. And it's just been nice because I love knowing people. I love having friends and like getting to know the people that are around me. Because even though we live in like a small community, sometimes it's hard to like get out there and really like talk to people, especially during COVID.
It is. This has helped me get to know new people.
Yeah. This is cool. I wanted to be TikTok famous for a hot second and realized that I'm too sensitive to ever be TikTok famous or have like a podcast or do anything. I could never be berated online. That's so scary.
Don't chase TikTok famous.
Yes.
Don't do that.
I don't make any, but the thought in my head, it would be nice. Think about all those teenagers that are more rich than you and I will ever be from sitting on their phone all day.
Hey, those kids are winners.
Yeah.
It's easy for them. I mean, I don't know. Social media, I mean, I want to get paid off of YouTube one day. That's one of my goals.
I think you definitely I think it's about the work you put in, because social media has really created like a platform where it's open to anyone if you put in the work.
You can do anything on social media.
Mm-hmm. You can be anyone you want to be, which that's the scary part.
Why is that scary? I think that's a great thing.
It's a great thing, but like also I feel like people can pretend to be one thing that they're not actually.
Well, if you're pretending, you never make it.
Yeah. Well,
you can't name one person who's like, right, all right, so Joe Rogan is kind of known for just bullshit talking, right, and being honest. He just got paid $100 million for his podcast to be on Spotify for 3 years, just to talk.
Yeah.
And he's honest. You can't, I don't know someone who, there's a bunch of podcasts out there that are like either Democrat or Republican, but none of them really get paid much. They don't really get that famous.
Yeah.
I feel like only the honest people really make it.
Yeah, because people can tell, like bullshitters can tell bullshitters. Like,
I can really do you if you're fake.
Yeah.
I think I'm pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I suck at it.
Yeah.
Sometimes
one thing I really focus on myself and like my life is just being like who like I think I am, you know what I mean? Like I don't ever try to put up a front with anyone. I'm the same opinionated, open-mouthed girl like everywhere I go, whether I'm at work, whether I'm in class, whether I'm at home. And that's one thing I really pride myself on, which is nice because I feel like it's hard, especially in a small town, which I obviously have rather like left-leaning ideals. It's been a little difficult to have the thoughts that I have and ideas that I have in a very Republican dominated area, but that's what you gotta do.
The older I get, the less I care. And
yeah,
I didn't tell anyone you were on my podcast, but somehow people found out you were going to be on my podcast.
Oh, because I told my friends, I was like, does anybody know this guy? Because I follow you, but I was like,
I get a message from someone who leans Republican telling me, I love this girl, she's fine, but telling me not to have you on. Something you did in the past. I don't know. I didn't give a fuck, but
yeah, well, I got canceled just a few weeks ago, so
got canceled.
Yeah.
Why are you here then?
Well, I don't know. No, it was a very big social media brigade or whatever you want to call it. I don't even know if brigade's a word. I'm thinking word in my head and I can't pronounce it. Because I made a stupid tweet a year ago calling Trump supporters ugly, and I do apologize, and it was a stupid thing to do, but I was very heated up about the election, and I definitely fell victim to polarization and kind of grouping together a political group, and I just viewed those people as like dehumanizing people based on like who they love or what they wanted to do, and it made me very angry for like about 4 total years. And so yeah, which those people have a right to perceive me that way. I obviously tweeted like that. I respect their opinion, and I'm using it to grow like how I communicate with other people, what I post on social media, things like that. I obviously regret it and don't wish like for my words to hurt anybody. So they had a right to like cancel me. But I think a large majority of them would have gained a higher understanding of who I am as a person if they would have reached out and contacted me directly, which is what I wish a lot of them would have done, because a lot of people were speaking on my character that I had never met, which was a little difficult for me because, like I said, I'm very sensitive and I care a lot about what people think. But I learned a lot from the situation, so that's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I mean, people are always going to bring up your past, especially like if you're a good person now, people are going to bring up your past. People do that to me all the time. I'm a lot calmer than I used to be, but I mean, that used to affect me, but now I'm like, I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Like, if you know you changed, what's it matter? And then the people you love don't judge you, then everyone else matter, but you have to train your mind, and you can't surround yourself with people who live in the past.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Exactly.
people make that mistake. People say they don't, but they do. And
Yes.
I mean, that's okay. I drink with people I probably don't really want to drink with, but I'll do it, right? Just to have some fun, right? But I have these few friends who I know are
Mhm.
friends, and they don't live by their fast. Don't live too far in the future either. I don't like people like that.
Oh, for sure.
But I'm a one day at a time kind of guy. But
Me and you both. I believe, well, that's the thing is a lot of people believe that like based on like one incident or one event that you like experience with a person, that frames who they are. And like your whole perspective of that person is grown on this foundation that you have placed them upon. And that's just not how it is, because I am a different person than I was yesterday, than I was a month ago, than I was a year ago. Like if you talked to me a year ago, you certainly are not going to have the same interaction that you would today. And so like I don't understand why people, but it's oftentimes people that aren't actively working on growing their mentality and changing that have these opinions that other people can't change either. And that's one thing I really try to focus on. A person that I really look up to once said, I believe everyone can change until they prove they can't. So that's how I try to view people.
yeah, I think anyone can change. That's why I don't judge people once I meet them. I don't know. Like I come from the city, so I come to the country. Obviously, it's different. When I was a young, I was a typical college kid.
Yeah.
I don't know. And people will still hold that against me, but I don't know. I say go to college, go crazy. At least for the males, I speak for the males. Go crazy. You're gonna learn from your mistakes. Obviously, I'm not a female. I can't relate to females. I don't know how you guys make your mistakes, but I
Same
know
way.
we're fucking psycho. I don't know.
Same way. Well, that's the thing is like, I don't understand why people base their entire like perspective on you based on like like mistakes or like just stupid stuff like that. Like, who cares? Like, who cares? Like, it doesn't define you, like your character, like whether you're a good or bad person. Like, you could think I'm a horrible person, and I'm still gonna think like I'm a decent person because I'm with myself every day. And I think that at the end of the day, your opinion on yourself is all that matters.
That's all that matters.
No. And like, well, I mean, if you're actively like hurting people around you, then you're probably not really that great of a person. But if it's just one person yelling at you that you're a bad person, just don't listen to them. Like, for what? Like, that's just going to drain your energy and it's going to ruin your day. Like,
I
you're
don't know.
not, your entire existence is not defined by how one person views you.
That's
And
why I'm definitely going to work for myself.
yeah.
I'm hoping not very soon. I like my job. It's a great job, but one day I want to work for myself, so like I can be like, if someone's rude to me, I don't,
Yeah.
I don't have a boss to tell me, right? Well, my boss is he kind of handles the rude people, kind of. There aren't many. I mean, people around here are nice, but he'll help me out. But I just don't want to talk to any rude. I don't want their money. I don't want
Yeah.
nothing. I don't care how much money you're gonna give me. I don't. If you're rude to me, I just
Yep.
keep my distance. Old Ashby a few years ago wanted that drama.
Yes.
I don't want that shit anymore. I'm getting calmer. I mean, I still have that crazy side in me. It comes out once or twice a month, but
Everybody has one for sure.
yeah. Oh my god! Like last year, COVID. Me and my friends, we were like, I don't know what happened when COVID started. We were drunk 4 times a week. And
I feel like that was most college kids though.
no one knew how to react. So we were like, oh, no school, we're just drinking. And it was just looking back, I was like, what the fuck were we doing?
But like you're in college, like this is the last time where you don't have like crazy weights of responsibility on you.
Well, and this year they got mad. Remember the president put out that video about the party.
Oh yeah.
I was like, you let college kids back. You can't stop them unless you kick them out. They
Yeah.
don't care about the consequence. If I was 18, I'd be partying 3 times a week right now.
Mm-hmm.
I'm 23, so I don't really. I'll drink with buddies, but that really I don't really go to parties, right? So, but then they throw a party. I guess the weather's nice and they're throwing a party. I mean, you let the kids back.
Yeah, you let the kids back.
I mean, I love Dr. Dale, but It wasn't a surprise to me. I'm sure it wasn't to them, but
I don't think it was much of a surprise. I just don't want anybody to get sick or to get hurt because college kids are crazy.
and, I mean, and they're not thinking like they just don't give a fuck. They just want to be
Yeah,
normal. So,
exactly. And
I,
so I understand that.
yeah, I don't think they have bad intentions behind partying. Partying is just like,
Absolutely not.
I mean, what 75% of the kids who come to college are expecting the party.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And Clarion's kind of like viewed as a party school, I'm pretty sure. So
Is it?
that's
Okay.
probably why they came to Clarion. Yeah, we were just talking about that at my job the other day. I don't know why. I think Slippery Rock, I think they were talking about how like in the 90s, Slippery Rock was named as like one of the top national party schools or something like that. It still probably is. They're like, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I got a few buddies that go there.
You hear some wild things come from Slippery Rock, that's for sure.
I always like looking back on college and all the stupid things I did. I used to like get mad over the stupid things I did, but now I look back and they really teach you.
Yeah. That's one thing I think it comes with maturity is like you stop regretting things and you start just learning from them.
I think I'm getting more mature. I don't know.
I would think so. You seem pretty mature.
Yeah, sometimes I like to think I am, and then I don't know. It just depends.
Yeah, me too. Some days I'll think, yeah, I'm totally mature. And then I'll be like, I need to cook for myself. And I'm like, I literally only have dinosaur chicken nuggets in my freezer. Like, am I really an adult or am I just fooling myself?
You have that. Only the cool people eat the dinosaur ones. So.
Yes. Aldi's has the best ones. They're called Dino Buddies. I'll
Yeah.
tell you, without a doubt. Always in my shopping cart.
But I try to hang out with older people now. That's why I go. People who are, I would say, at least 35 and up. If you're 30, I'm like, how much more have you actually experienced? I'm like, when I was born, you were 6. I was like, these people try to act like, oh, you're so young. I was like, you're literally 6 years old. Another thing that pisses me off, people my age who call themselves old. I'm like, that is 100% your fault. You're calling yourself old at 24. Might as well die at 25.
I don't know. I just hang out with people who are like-minded and like care about the same things that I do. Cause like nothing's worse than like when you get super passionate about something and you want to tell your friends and they're just like, eh. And that's how I am about politics. And politics aren't for everyone. So my friends are just as like passionate and just progressive as I am. And it's so nice because then we can all just be in this group chat talking about politics and no one's like, who cares about politics?
I think it's important to have people from the opposite side in your friend group.
Yeah,
But
as well.
think about it. If you're just, if everyone thinks alike, it's just like one big circle of talking about the same shit, right? But if there's someone else, I mean, it's different if they're just an aggressive Republican saying your shit.
Yeah.
But I have friends who are Democrats or are hardcore Democrats, and then friends who are hardcore Republicans.
Yeah, for sure. No, it's not even that I alienate myself based on party. It's just that they care. You know what I mean? And like that's obviously not my whole friend group, but like my core group definitely cares about the same things that I do. One of my best friends is actually going to law school with me as well. So it's just fun to have like common interests.
I know this, like, all right, so when I say I don't do politics, I've been like this for a while. I used to just not want to hear about it. But now I'm still in the middle, but now I want to learn about it. So
Yeah,
that's all I was like, I'm going to ask this girl to be on my podcast.
good. Because I think politics really matter. And like the whole reason that I'm running for like this seat is just to like open up more younger people to the opportunity that they can get involved now. Like they don't have to wait until they're 35 or like 40. You can get involved now. You can do things now. You can start contributing to your community because like I want to see people from Clarion University grow up and graduate and stay in Clarion because Clarion's beautiful and we need to diversify it and we need younger minds from both sides of the aisle. I'm not even talking about politics, but like we just need people to stay here and like contribute to what we already have so we can like continue to have this like beautiful little community. And so that's all I'm based on. I'm not really focused on party. I'm not really focused on any sort of policy. I'm just trying to get people to open their mind and be a good representative of what I think we all care about as a collective. So yeah.
I like this town.
Yeah. I definitely have been polarized in the past, but I'm trying to really work on it. And like, I understand that my opinions and my ideas aren't for everyone, and that's fine, but that's not what I'm looking for right now. Like, my ideas on national politics aren't going to affect Clarion borough taxes. Like, that's just not how I view it. I view it as like, I've lived in the community. I kind of know how it operates, and I feel like I am smart and capable and can get something done.
Yeah, And I like where I stand because I can sort of talk to everyone. I think I'm gonna continue. I
Yeah,
want I do
sure.
want to be friends with everyone, but if someone doesn't want to be friends with me, I don't give a fuck. But
Yeah. Well, that's kind of where I'm at now too. Like,
I don't
you
want to be hardcore. Like you lean Democrat. There's nothing wrong with that. But
yeah.
I just want to listen. Like I share ideas with both sides, and it's just I don't know. And then when I share ideas from either side, I get shit about it. But I don't think that's the way it should be.
Well, I'll try to never give a shit about it. But I don't know. I think polarizing yourself definitely shuts you off from relationships and opportunities. And I've definitely found myself in that situation. So like I said, I'm just working on it. But politics aren't for everyone, and that's fine. But like, I feel like if you're not into politics, your idea is like the best way to look at it. Like, you're still interested and you still want to hear from both sides. But when people don't want to hear anything about politics, it kind of scares me, because like I want people to be involved to even like the slightest extent, because I really think that politics do matter. And I think one day everyone will come to the day where they realize that politics matter too, and they'll look back and be like, man, when I was younger, I wish I would have like argued for something like this or something. And so I always just try to like put it out there that this matters, and if you want to look into it, you should, and if you don't, that's also okay, but at least take a little peek.
I agree. Maybe you can keep teaching me more. I don't know. I
No.
don't I'll give you a chance. I want to give people a chance. I'm gonna have someone from the Republican side here pretty soon. I think this weekend sometime.
You should.
I
That's
just
what
hear
friends.
I don't know. I don't know what I agree with. I'm just kind of in the middle.
Yeah, you don't have to align yourself with either side either. Like, the fact that you want to learn anything is just good.
I love it. I kind of like seeing people like kind of assume who I voted for, and I just kind of let them talk, but I never really talk about it, and then people do. It's pretty crazy. People like to assume.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely find myself assuming a lot. I would never pretend that I don't do that, but I've definitely gotten a lot better. But I think it's after all the heated election stuff ended. That's the only reason I'm even like slightly sane right now. I feel like I just lost my mind over the last 4 years, but I just felt like everyone that like, I don't know. I just felt like we were just slipping back in time, in my personal opinion, whether it was related to the administration or not. Like, I just felt like time stood still for 4 years, whether it was COVID, whether it was school. It was just crazy to me. I don't know. And I'm not saying that just because Joe Biden's in office that the world's automatically going to get better. I don't know. I couldn't tell you that. I'm not a future teller, fortune teller.
During my lifetime, where I can't really remember the Bush, right? So I was young.
Yeah.
I think I think Obama really only had the impact on how we see each other. I think we were united during that one. But I lived in the city. I don't know how it was in Clarion. I don't know. Was it the same?
For Obama?
Yeah, like the way people treated each other.
Um, I was really young during Obama. It happened in what, 2008? So I was about 8, and then continued till obviously 2016. So I was only 16 at the time. And I wasn't really involved in politics until the transfer of power and all of the drama started happening. And I became mature enough to realize that politics mattered and things like that. And
Drama attracts people.
yes.
Like this whole, yeah, especially on social media, like
Mhm.
no one pays attention to the nice things.
Yeah.
Like
It's
there
very
could be like
toxic.
a bunch of people calling you all these beautiful names and stuff. One person goes, "You're ugly," and
Yep.
that person gets attention for some reason.
Exactly. And that's why I honestly tried to take a long break from social media, and I did successfully. I'm absolutely addicted to social media. Just like I've had social media since I think I was 10. And so I just have always had it. I just feel like, but it's such a false reality. Like the people that like present themselves on social media, like that's not, I feel like that's not who they actually are. Like the conception that I have of like you, just from your social media is not who you actually are in person. So, and it makes you feel like we know each other and we don't. So why it just messes with my head. So I try to stay off social media, especially when it comes to politics. I try to get my news like straight from actual news sources, and I always focus on like getting them from various news sources. Like I don't ever just watch CNN, or I don't ever just watch Fox. Like I'll like read something on Fox and I'll go analyze it compared to CNN or watch it. And that's where I think people come to a fault, is they just pick one side, and that's what causes polarization, is bias in the media. So
What I listen to depends on what I want to learn, right? So like people like to talk about what the military are doing overseas, right? If there's not like a Navy SEAL or some special forces guys talking about it, I automatically think you're bullshit because you weren't there.
Yeah.
President Trump or Biden don't actually know what they're physically doing. They know the mission, but at the end of the day, the Navy SEAL is the one with his eyes looking at it. So I listen to a lot of podcasts that those guys do.
Yeah. That makes no sense.
I like to learn, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm just an idiot. So.
You're not an idiot.
I think I am.
I say that to myself every day.
I'm trying to learn. That's why I started this podcast, because I want to, just like you, I want to learn straight from the source, but I want to talk to the source.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Talking to people and understanding their perception of like how they view the world instead of just listening to their opinions is so much better.
People don't do this enough. They don't talk. I prefer to do this in person, but I'm trying to find a consistent studio with.
Yeah.
When you use, Prince and Adrian, they're gonna help me out.
Yeah, that's good.
I want to use 2 cameras and I want to have mics. So in person, like I used to do it right here. I set up. This is actually a corner on this side. I set it up right here. And I would bring people here, but I just felt it was kind of weird.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's what it is.
Yeah. But thanks for coming on.
Of course. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. I'll buy you a beer sometime or something. We can talk more about politics.
All right. I'm never at the bar, so you'll have to come to Applebee's while I'm working. I'll convince my boss to let me drink on the job, see how that goes.
Yeah, we'll see. I go to breweries to drink. Have you been to the Mechanistic Brewery?
I have not, but I also don't like beer at all. I actually don't like alcohol usually. The only thing I really like is wine. So we can go to Deer Creek.
I'm down for Deer Creek. All right, we'll plan that.
Okay, thanks. I hope you have a good night. I'm going to study for finals.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. See ya.